Okay, Rabbi Sai, just a few moments. We cover the Heilige Yutzat, the Heilige Baal HaTanya, the Shulchan Aruch Harav. I just want to mention, just before we have two gewaltige Yidden over here that I'm privileged to be sitting in between, just to mention for a moment who exactly was the Baal HaTanya, who was the Shulchan Aruch Harav, where did he come from? Just a little bit of history to understand, and then I'm sure we'll hear some gewaltige meises, gewaltige stories. Reb Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the Alter Rebbe, as he was known by Lubavitch, the Baal HaTanya, was born in the 18th of Elul, 5505, September 1745, in the Yeshana, small town in Russia. His parents were Baruch and Rebbetzin Rivka. He was amazing at a very young age. At a young age, he was absolutely amazed all those around him in learning. And at his bar mitzvah, in fact, he was, by all the Gedolim that were there by his bar mitzvah, they actually named the Baal HaTanya Rav Tano Polig. That means at his bar mitzvah already, that he had the status of the Gedolim of previous generations, and he had the right to argue with the Gedolim of previous generations. By the age of 18, he had known at that time all of Shas, all of Rishonim and Achronim, all of Sifrei Kabbalah and Medrash, along with all of science, math, astronomy, and everything that goes together with that. At the age of 20, he decided he needed a Rebbe. He needed someone that would lead him, a Rebbe, and there were two paths in front of him. There were two Mahalchim that the Baal HaTanya could have gone. On one side, he could have gone to Vilna, and he could have learned from the Heilige Vilna Gaon with that Mahalach. And on the other side, there was the Maggid of Mezrich, the founder, Kemat of the Hasidus, someone who took over the Heilige Baal Shem Tov. And he had these choices. Which way should he go? He could have gone to either of them. He made a choice based on the following cheshbon. His cheshbon was, I have already mastered Torah, Gemara, and the discipline of learning Torah, but Tefillah I haven't yet mastered. And because I haven't mastered Tefillah yet, I think I'm going to become a Talmud of the Maggid of Mezrich, and that's Tefillah and that's Avodas Hashem, and then he decided I'm going to the Maggid. So he goes and he travels to the Maggid. This was a huge turning point in his life. He gets there and he sees something very interesting. They're busy davening, preparing for davening, more davening, more davening. What are they learning? Of course they learned, but the time of learning wasn't as much as he was used to. He was an extremely intellectual person. He needed to delve into the depths of Torah. Yes, he wanted to conquer the Avodas HaTefillah, but they were spending too much. He couldn't take it. He decided Mezrich was not for him. I'm going to be leaving the Maggid. Didn't say a word. He decided I'm leaving. He left. On the way out, he remembered that he left something in the Beis Medrash. So he goes back into the Beis Medrash to perhaps find what he's looking for. And when he gets back to the Beis Medrash, he sees the Maggid. And the Maggid is involved in a sugya in halacha. Somebody had come to the Maggid with a shaila of a lung. Now anyone that knows Yoreh Deah knows that a shaila with a lung is of the most complex shailas. Very complex details. And the Maggid was showing his expertise, his depth, his breadth of Torah in an incredible way. That when he saw this, Reb Shneur Zalman the Baal HaTanya decided, I'm going to remain in Mezrich. This is the place that I want to be. I want the Maggid to be my Rebbe. Once he said that, once he decided that, the Maggid then revealed to the Baal HaTanya what his Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, revealed to him many years earlier. The Baal Shem Tov revealed to the Maggid that a son of Reb Baruch is going to come. He's then going to leave, and he's going to return, which is exactly what happened. When he returns, the Baal Shem Tov gave him instructions. Make sure you tell him about his life, where it's going to lead, and how his life is going to be full of challenges along the roads. And he told Reb Shneur Zalman understood, he was makabel, and he stayed there. In 1767, Reb Shneur Zalman was summoned to be the Maggid of Leishana, his hometown, and he was leading the people. He was a manig, he was the Rav over there. He did that for about 30 years. He was actually known as his friends as a Litvak, because he came from Lithuania and eventually became one of the greatest Talmidim of the Maggid of Mezrich. The Maggid in 1770 told Reb Shneur Zalman, I want you to do something monumental. I want you to write a new and improved version of the Shulchan Aruch. Now, to write a version of the Shulchan Aruch, that means you have to know all of Torah. All of Torah from the Gemaras, from Shas, Rishonim, and Acharonim, Poskim, Halacha, everything. And he knew everything, and he embarked on the journey of writing what we know today as the Shulchan Aruch Harav. And that was a huge task. 2 years after completing that, he decided he's going to write the Mamorim, the Tanya. And he worked on the Tanya for 20 years. In 1792, copies of manuscripts of the Tanya started floating around Klal Yisrael, and people wanted it more and more. And people were actually trying to mess with the manuscripts of the Tanya, so much so that they were adding things that were not good. And they told Reb Shneur Zalman that people are adding things to the Tanya, you need to do something about it, you need to print it, you need to publish it, this way people can't mess with it because it's already in safer form. So he decided, okay, I'm going to print it officially. It had two conditions. Condition number one is that they would include the Haskamas, which is a whole shaila, how we got the Haskamas, that's a sugya b'fnei atzmai, incredible stories how we got the Haskamas. And the other one was that there would be no name. He refused to have his name in it. He wanted it to be anonymous because he didn't want anyone to attribute the sefer to him. This was a sefer for Klal Yisrael. In 1796, the first Tanya was printed, 15,000 copies. The next year, 5,000 copies. The year later, 20,000 copies. It was incredible, the want for such a sefer, which as anyone that's actually looked inside the sefer knows, it's a sefer of Avodas Hashem, how to serve Hashem, how to connect to Hashem, the different parts of the neshama, v'chule, v'chule. It's an incredible piece of work. I'll just end with one Gavaldige Maisa. It's a Maisa we may have said many times on Rosh Hashanah, but it's a Maisa that I think it's worth mentioning specifically today. As we know from the Tzaddikim, the day of Yotzeit is the day that the Neshama has a Hashbah, and we can chaperein some of that Gavaldige Hashbahs. When Shneur Zalman was in prison in 1798 by the dreadful Secret Service of St. Petersburg, the chief of staff came into the prison to interrogate him. And as soon as he opened the door and he saw the rabbi there, he couldn't believe it. He saw a malach of a person. He couldn't believe who he saw. And he realized this was no ordinary prisoner. So the chief of staff said, Rabbi, I have a question from the Bible. Are you willing to answer it? And the Rebbe said, of course, ask whatever you want. So he said, I have a question, Rabbi. In the beginning of the Bible, it says that when the Rabbeinu Shalom was Kaviyachol looking for Adam Rishon, he said, Ayeka, where are you? Are you telling me that God did not know what Adam Rishon was? It makes no sense. And the Baal HaTanya, Reb Shneur Zalman answered, and he said, do you really believe that the Torah is for all eternity? That the Torah is for all generations? It wasn't just a storybook written then, but it was for all of us in every generation. And the chief of staff said, yes, I fully believe that it's for all eternity. So Reb Shneur Zalman said, in that case, when the Rabbeinu Shalom called to Adam Rishon, he said, Ayeka, it was a call that started then and continues Ad Hayom Hazeh, every single day. The Rabbeinu Shalom calls out to every one of us. And he says, Ayeka, where are you? Where are you in the world? Where are you in your connection to the Rabbeinu Shalom? Where are you in performing that which you were sent down to the world to perform? And this officer, this chief of staff, was so overwhelmed with the answer that he got from the Rebbe that he reported that to the Tsar. And he said, there's a man of God in prison over here. There's no way that the allegations against him are true. They must be false. And that eventually led to his coming out of prison. Obviously, we're dealing with a very highly Yid. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more. It should be a schos, and his schos should be mogen on all of us. Be'ez Hashem, we shall chaperein some of the Gavaldige schosim that he has. Amen.